It was one of those chilly December mornings where the sunlight creeps in slow and golden, stretching across the hardwood like melted butter. From the outside, our house looked like something straight off a holiday postcard. A cozy two-story tucked into a quiet suburb just outside of Chicago. White picket fence, neatly trimmed bushes, even a wreath on the front door. It all looked perfect. Inside, though? Inside was a different story. The smell of freshly brewed coffee filled the kitchen, mixing with a fading whiff of cinnamon from a candle that had probably burned too long the night before. I was standing at the counter, absent-mindedly stirring my mug. But I wasn't really focused on the coffee. My eyes were locked on the hallway. About 5 minutes earlier, my wife, Lindsay, had slipped into her office with her phone pressed to her ear. Voice low, almost secretive. It wasn't the first time. I took a sip. Bitter. I forgot the sugar again. And I never forget the sugar. "You good?" I called out, trying to keep my tone light, casual, like I wasn't already bracing for another vague answer. A second passed, and then her voice floated back from behind the closed door. "Yeah, just work stuff. It's kind of a mess this morning." Work stuff. Always work stuff lately. I gave a half nod to no one in particular and glanced out the window. The sky looked heavy, like it was thinking about snow, but hadn't made up its mind yet. Everything in the house felt louder than it used to. Every creak of the floorboards, every door closing, every silence that stretched a little too long. It all carried more weight now. Lindsay hadn't always been like this. She used to laugh more. She used to talk to me just to talk. We'd sit on the couch watching movies, and she'd instinctively reach for my hand. Now she barely looked up from her phone, even during dinner. She still smiled, sure, but not at me, always at that screen. I'm not a jealous guy, not paranoid, but I pay attention. And lately, I was paying attention to everything. I sat down at the dining table, the one we picked out together at some rustic furniture shop up in Michigan last fall. Still had a few tiny scratches from when we argued over how to assemble it. I almost smiled remembering it, but the feeling faded fast. The chair across from me was empty, Lindsay's blazer draped over the back, her work bag lying open on the floor beside it. One of the folders was half out, the Stantec Law Firm logo stamped across it. That was her firm. My hand drifted toward it, but stopped midway. I hovered there for a second, then pulled back. I wasn't ready to be that guy. The one who snoops. The one who digs for proof. Because honestly, if you're already looking for something, deep down, you probably already know the truth. Still, I couldn't ignore what was changing between us. There used to be this spark, even on a regular Tuesday. She'd call me just to say hi from the office or send me dumb photos of her lunch with captions like, "Barely surviving Monday." I hadn't gotten one of those in weeks. Maybe longer. It wasn't just the texts or the phone calls that were missing. It was the way she came home late, saying she had corporate dinners. The way her perfume smelled slightly different sometimes. How her laugh felt forced. How her eyes didn't land on me the way they used to. And honestly, I already knew. Later that morning, Lindsay walked back into the kitchen. She was still glued to her phone, tapping away like she was solving a national crisis. Her dark hair was pulled back in one of those neat, no-nonsense buns she wore whenever she had big meetings. She looked incredible. She always did. But there was something missing in her eyes. That light, that warmth. Lately, she just looked elsewhere. "You working from home today?" she asked, barely glancing up. "Yeah," I said. "Big test on the drone prototype. It's in final stabilization now." "Sounds exciting," she mumbled, still not looking at me. Her voice was flat, disconnected. I watched as she poured her coffee. Her phone buzzed again, and without even thinking, she turned her body slightly, shielding the screen from me. Just instinct. She smiled at whatever she read. That smile? It wasn't mine anymore. There was this tightness that built in my chest. Not anger. Not yet. Just a cold kind of awareness. Like finally admitting what you didn't want to believe. I tried focusing on work, retreating into my home office, but I couldn't concentrate. I stared at lines of code on the screen, completely lost in thought. Lindsay and I had been together 7 years, married for 5. We'd made it through some heavy stuff, Student loans, job layoffs, losing my dad, even a miscarriage. I thought we were solid. I thought that kind of history meant something. But maybe that was just my version of the story. She showed up at my door a little later with a travel mug in one hand, dressed and ready for the day, heels navy blazer, the whole polished look. That outfit meant she was headed downtown to HQ. Gotta run. Prep session for the holiday gala, she said, brushing a piece of lint off her jacket. Might be a late one. The gala's this Friday, right? She paused just long enough to notice. Yeah, she said. Not a +1 thing, though. Just internal. You'd be bored. I forced a smile. Maybe next year. She leaned in and kissed my cheek. It was quick, mechanical, like a co-worker saying goodbye after a meeting. And then she was gone. The front door closed behind her, and the silence that followed was so thick, it felt like it pressed down on the walls. I sat at my desk, staring into nothing. Then, without thinking, I opened a new browser tab. I typed in GPS tracker phone sync. I didn't even know exactly what I was hoping to find. But under all that calm, somewhere deep beneath the surface, I knew what I was looking for. It wasn't just a quiet between us anymore. It was the kind of silence that meant something had been erased. Something that used to be there was gone now, painted over like a wall hiding a hole. That night, I sat on the edge of our bed, still in a towel, watching the soft glow of her phone screen dancing on the ceiling. Lindsay was lying beside me, facing away, both hands cradling her phone, thumbs moving. She didn't offer up who she was texting, and I didn't ask. And that, right there, that was new. The next morning, I headed into the garage, my workshop. It used to be my sanctuary. I'd turned it into a clean, well-organized tech space with blueprints pinned to one wall, trays of carefully labeled drone parts, and a 3D printer humming softly in the corner. Normally, that room gave me clarity. But not that day. Even in my space, something felt off. Hollow. I sat down in front of my workstation, intending to finish the flight algorithm calibration, but I couldn't do it. My mind was spiraling, chewing on all the small things that didn't sit right anymore. Lindsay's distance wasn't subtle, and it wasn't gradual either. It was sharp, intentional, like she was slowly removing pieces from the life we built together, one by one, preparing to fly solo. She used to leave her phone on the nightstand without a second thought. Now it was always in her pocket, always face down. A week ago, I'd reached for it by accident, thinking it was mine. She yanked it back so fast the air seemed to crack. Work emails, she said, forcing a tight smile. Client stuff. Confidential. Right, because suddenly, being a paralegal required Cold War-level secrecy. That night, I met up with my oldest buddy, Tyler, at this dim little bar downtown. We used to hang out there back in college, back when the world still felt like something we could take over. Tyler showed up 10 minutes late, as usual, with his hoodie pulled over his head and that same lopsided grin that hadn't changed in a decade. He slid into the booth and gave me a once-over. You look like a man who's either on the verge of a tech breakthrough or about to confront his cheating wife. I laughed barely. Honestly, not sure I can tell the difference right now. Tyler raised his eyebrows. All right, talk to me. I didn't dive in all at once. I laid it out slowly. All the changes, the cold shoulder, the constant secrecy, the way Lindsay lit up for someone, but not me. By the end of it, Tyler was leaning back, jaw tight. She's not the same, I said quietly. Something shifted when she started working under that guy Stanton. Wait, Nicholas Stanton? That dude who's always plastered all over LinkedIn. Yeah, that's him. Tyler let out a low whistle. Man's got a face like a villain in a courtroom drama. Total power trip. You think they're... I don't know. I admit it. I just know I feel like a background character in my own life. Like she's already gone. And I'm just the furniture. Tyler tapped his glass, thinking. Look, he said, you want my advice? Trust your gut, but don't go off emotion. Get facts. Information is everything. If something's happening, don't guess. Find out. That idea stuck to me like a splinter. Small, sharp, impossible to ignore. Later that night, long after Lindsay had gone to bed and turned her back to me like she had for weeks, I slipped out of the room and into my office. I opened my laptop and started searching. GPS tracking, shared iCloud, phone monitoring, not spyware, just quiet digital footprints. I wasn't trying to violate her privacy. I was trying to find my footing again. I needed to know whether the life I thought we had was real or just a script I kept reciting while she rewrote the ending. There are ways to see where a phone's been. Location logs, device activity history. It turns out Lindsay had forgotten that we still shared an old Apple ID from years ago. I didn't install anything. Not yet. But now I had access. And just knowing that changed everything. The next morning, Lindsay left earlier than usual. No kiss, no eye contact, just a muffled "see you later" from the front door. I waited 15 minutes, then opened the sync location map I'd managed to pull from our shared Apple account. A single blue dot pulsed on the screen. She wasn't at the law firm, not even close. She was across town at some upscale cafe, the kind with floor-to-ceiling windows, overpriced lattes, and rooftop seating. I recognized the address. She'd been there 2 other times in the last 2 weeks, supposedly during late-night meetings. But today was Saturday. No meetings, no excuses. I just stared at the screen, watching that little blue dot drift again to another address. I didn't even feel panic. No heart racing. No rage. Just a kind of quiet, cold realization. Like, this is it. This is real. Later that day, the house felt more like a museum than a home. Neat, tidy, posed. There were framed photos, carefully placed cushions, and a bookshelf alphabetized by genre. But none of it felt like ours anymore. Something had died here a while ago, and I hadn't realized it until just then. Friday rolled around, and snow started to fall in lazy, silent sheets. Chicago sparkled beneath the frost. Twinkling streetlights, carols floating out of storefronts, people bundled up in scarves and fake holiday cheer. And me? I was putting on a dark wool coat and staring at myself in the mirror. I looked good. Too good, honestly. Clean-shaven. Crisp lines. The kind of look people wear when they're about to bury something. Lindsay had already left for the holiday gala that her firm was throwing. 3 nights ago, she told me I couldn't come. It's just internal. Company policy, she said, smiling like she wasn't lying through her teeth. That smile stuck with me. She looked like she'd already left me in her mind. I drove across town slow, not because of the snow, but because I needed my thoughts clear. I parked 2 blocks from the venue, a sleek glass building wedged between a hedge fund and a luxury hotel. Expensive cars lined the curb. I walked up without hesitation, envelope in hand. Just something blank to flash in case someone asked. Nobody did. A distracted hostess waved me through while laughing at something a co-worker said. Just like that, I was in. The ballroom was glowing. Golden chandeliers, metallic Christmas trees, champagne glasses clinking all around. Waiters floated past like ghosts with trays of food I couldn't pronounce. I scanned the room slowly, methodically, and there she was. Lindsay stood near the back, by a velvet-draped bar, wearing an emerald green dress that hugged her like it had been made for her. She looked stunning. And empty. She was laughing, head tilted, eyes bright, but not at me, at him, Nicholas Stanton. I recognized him instantly from LinkedIn and the firm's website. Tall, smooth, perfectly put together. He had one hand resting low on Lindsay's back like it belonged there. I didn't blink, didn't move. And then, somehow he saw me. Our eyes locked across the crowd. He froze for half a second, then smiled. Slow, arrogant, like a man who already knew the outcome of the game. He leaned in, whispered something to Lindsay. She turned, laughing. Her face dropped the second she saw me. Color drained out of her. Her hand trembled. She stepped forward, but he stopped her. No, I read from his lips. He was controlling even now. Then he walked toward me. He didn't rush, didn't hesitate, just sauntered up like we were old friends bumping into each other at a dinner party. Didn't think spouses were allowed, he said with a smirk. I didn't come as a spouse. I told him. Just curious. He raised an eyebrow. Curiosity's dangerous. Tend to dig up things best left buried. I didn't answer. He leaned in a little closer. You want to hit me right now, don't you? Make a scene? Prove you're still a man? I just looked at him. Calm. Still. The kind of stillness that unsettles people. I don't need to prove anything, I said. His smile widened. That's what makes it so fun for me. I already won. You just haven't caught up yet. That's when Lindsay reached us, heels clicking fast across the floor, like she'd been running. Ethan, she started. I didn't even flinch. I just looked at her, really looked at her, like a stranger studying a painting he used to love before the colors faded. Enjoy the party, Stanton said, giving my shoulder a friendly pat. While you still can. And then he walked off, like I didn't matter. Lindsay tried to speak again, but I held up a hand. No, I said, quiet but firm. Then I turned and walked out. The snow outside had picked up, swirling beneath the street lamps. I stood there for a moment, brushing flakes from my coat. The cold didn't bother me, because whatever was left inside of me had gone colder. When I got home that night, the house felt like a tomb. I didn't even take off my coat. Just walked through the rooms like a man seeing them for the first time after a fire. Everything was intact, physically, but the warmth, the life, gone. The kitchen still held a faint scent of some overly sweet candle Lindsay must have lit earlier. Cranberry maybe, or fake pine. 2 coffee mugs sat in the sink, one of them with her lipstick smudged along the rim. It should have hurt more, but honestly, it just felt inevitable. Hours later, she came in. Quiet, careful. The kind of careful people are when they know they've done something unforgivable. She didn't knock on my office door, didn't text, didn't ask if I was awake. She just climbed into bed, pulled the covers up, and turned her back to me like always. And that was it. The next morning, she was up early, way too early, already showered, dressed, halfway out the door before I even made it downstairs. I found her standing in the kitchen like she'd walked into a stranger's house and wasn't sure how to act. I was already at the dining table, a legal envelope in front of me. Tea, not coffee, sat in my hand. That alone should have told her something was different. She stopped in the doorway, eyes flicking to the envelope like it was a live grenade. Hey, she said, trying to sound casual. Didn't hear you coming last night. I didn't answer, just stared at her. She hesitated, took a breath. Look, about last night. I raised my hand, just a small gesture, but it shut her down instantly. You don't have to explain, I said, my voice low. Not anymore. Her face lost all color. It's not what it looked like. If I were someone else, I might have laughed. But I didn't. I just tilted my head a little. I said, it was exactly what it looked like. She took a few steps closer. Ethan, please, it was a mistake. I didn't flinch. A mistake is spilling coffee. That was a choice. She opened her mouth, closed it again. I didn't mean for it to happen like this. But it did, I said. Silence stretched between us. I asked the question I've been dreading for weeks. Do you love him? Too long. She didn't answer. Finally, she whispered, I don't know. I nodded once. I already knew, but I needed to hear her say it. I'll be moving out today. I told her. What? I'll have the divorce papers drawn up by next week. You'll be served formally. Her expression went blank. Ethan, wait. I'm not going to fight you. I said, not in court. Not here. You'll get what's fair. But I'm not staying in this house. Please don't do this. We can fix it, she said. I stood, folded the envelope, and slipped it into my coat pocket. You broke something I never thought you'd touch, I told her. And I can't glue trust back together with apologies. I packed light, 1 duffel bag, a few files, a photo of my parents. Not even our wedding picture made the cut. By noon, I was standing at the front door. She stood behind me, arms crossed, lips tight. Where you even going? She asked. I turned to her, eyes clear for the first time in weeks. To somewhere your voice can't reach me anymore. And then I stepped out into the cold and didn't look back. That night, I was in a borrowed apartment, Tyler's guest room. Not much, but it was quiet. It wasn't hers. I sat on the edge of the bed, laptop open, tea going cold next to me. I wasn't thinking about Lindsay. I was thinking about Nicholas Stanton. Because this wasn't over. Not even close. Tyler's apartment wasn't fancy. Just a converted loft over an old print shop with creaky floors and a radiator that groaned like an old man in winter. But it was peaceful. More importantly, it didn't smell like her perfume or feel like I was walking through a graveyard of memories. I sat at the kitchen counter with a full cup of coffee, untouched. All I could hear was the soft tapping of my fingers on the keyboard and the hum of Tyler's ancient fridge trying not to give up. I'd been awake all night, not grieving, not pacing, digging. I wasn't going to scream or punch walls. That wasn't my way. I wanted truth. I wanted Stanton's truth. I knew guys like him, charming in public, corrosive in private. People like that leave patterns, cracks. All I had to do was find them. Tyler wandered in mid-morning, yawning like a bear in hibernation. "You sleep at all?" he asked. "Didn't need to." I replied, eyes still on the screen. He leaned over my shoulder. Dozens of tabs were open, news articles, corporate bios, archive interviews, legal bulletins. "You're building a dossier," he said, half impressed. "Like a one-man NSA. I didn't even smile. "I'm looking for what he doesn't want found." And I found it. An old harassment complaint from a few years back. Buried. Sanitized. A junior associate filed it and then vanished. No media, no lawsuit. Either settled quietly or buried completely. "He didn't pay her off," I said to Tyler. "The firm did. He's too valuable. They protect their investments." Tyler crossed his arms. "So what's the plan?" "Expose him," I said, publicly, methodically, without laying a finger on him. We started with metadata. Tyler was a data analyst. He knew how to trace the invisible trails people didn't realize they left. We combed through photos, timestamps, event rosters. One charity event photo caught my eye. Stanton in the center, holding court, and there, in the background, was Lindsay. She told me she'd worked late that night. She was laughing, her head resting lightly on his shoulder. Another associate in the shot wasn't smiling. That look told me everything. By noon, I had a short list of people. Employees who left suddenly, changed apartments, or posted vague comments about a toxic work culture. I only needed one to talk. And I found her, Marissa Chun, former litigation assistant. Quiet exit in 2022. She'd once commented on a blog about abusive workplace dynamics. I messaged her. Polite, respectful, just a request for a conversation. She replied in 10 minutes. We spoke on a video call that evening. Her face was shadowed, voice low. "I already left all that behind," she said. "I'm not asking you to reopen wounds." I told her. "I just don't want someone else to get cut the same way." She looked away, then back. "He does this. He grooms, picks his targets, makes you feel seen. But there's a price. Why didn't you come forward?" "I tried," she whispered. "HR crushed it. My supervisor warned me, said it'd ruin my career. Would you be willing to write something down?" I asked. "No names, just truth." She hesitated, then nodded. "On my terms." That was enough. Next up was timing. The firm's big charity gala was in 2 weeks. High-profile event. Cameras, sponsors, clients. The perfect place to strike. But I wasn't planning to confront anyone. I was going to light a match and let the fire speak for itself. That night, I opened a new file and named it Stanton Collapse Protocol. Stage 1, exposure. Stage 2, reputation fracture. Stage 3, financial audit. Stage 4, public isolation. Stage 5, total severance. We began with the first spark, an anonymous email sent to every senior partner at the firm. Plain, clinical. 5 paragraphs written by Marissa. Specific dates. Observations. No wild accusations. Just enough to make them look closer. Within 24 hours, Stanton's assistant was reassigned. In 48, 2 board members scrubbed his endorsements. By 72, HR began combing through 5 years of harassment files. It was working. 3 days later, Lindsay called. I let it go to voicemail. Her voice was calm, but I could hear the edges unraveling. Ethan, I think something's happening at work. People are whispering. About Nick. It's like, I don't know. Did you have anything to do with this? I didn't answer. Stage 2 hit when Stanton got pulled from 2 major panels. The firm released a bland PR statement saying he was stepping back temporarily. But the truth? The sharks were circling. I called in one last favor. Nolan Graves, a CPA I'd helped during a startup pitch years ago. I asked him to look into Stanton's bonus packages. Legal reason? Nolan asked. Nope, I said. Private interests. What he found made my blood run cold. Multiple quiet transfers to 3 accounts. One of them? Lindsay's. Is it illegal? I asked. No, but it's shady and definitely not clean. Stage 3. I uploaded everything to a whistleblower site. No drama, just truth. The post caught fire. Forums picked it up. Then blogs. Then tweets. It was all over the internet. And Stanton? He did what powerful men always do. He denied everything. But it was too late. The story had legs. And once the public eye finds you, it doesn't blink. Stage 4. Clients started asking questions. A board meeting turned hostile. Internal emails leaked, showing Stanton had overruled HR more than once. By Monday, his nameplate was gone from his office door. Someone snapped a photo of him in the elevator, alone, carrying a cardboard box of his things. It went viral. Just like that, the king fell. I saw the image that night and closed the tab. No celebration. No gloating. Just peace. A few days later, Lindsay texted me. Can we talk? One time. Please. I met her at a cafe. She showed up in black, like she was going to a funeral. Maybe she was. She sat across from me, searching my face for something. Anger, forgiveness, maybe hope. I didn't know where else to ask you, she said quietly. I didn't think it would all fall apart like this. I didn't say anything. They let me go, called it a mutual separation, she said. Offer me a severance if I signed an NDA. Did you? I refused. Why? Because there's no dignity in staying quiet anymore. She swallowed hard. I lost everything. Nick's gone. My job. My reputation. Good, I said, not out of cruelty, just honesty. Her eyes stung. Do you hate me? I paused. Thought about it. No. Hating you would mean I'm still carrying you with me. I let go the night I walked out. She tried to smile through it. You became someone I don't even recognize. No, I said. I became someone you never really knew. She reached across the table, her voice shaking. Is there anything left between us? Anything worth saving? I pulled an envelope from my coat and slid it toward her. Finalized divorce papers. I don't want your signature now. I told her. Take your time. Or don't. It's done either way. She looked down like the envelope was a tombstone. I'm sorry, she whispered. I nodded. I believe you, but that doesn't change anything. I stood up. I won't contact you again. I won't mention your name. Whatever hole you find yourself in, I won't be the one pulling you out. She stopped me before I walked away. One last question. Was it worth it? I turned just enough for her to see my face. Yeah, I said, and then I left. 3 months later, spring came slow. The ice melted. Birds returned like they were checking if it was safe to sing again. I was working out of a small office, surrounded by blueprints and ambition. My name wasn't on the door yet, but that was fine. I didn't need a plaque. The drone I'd been building? It flew, fully autonomous, designed for search and rescue, built not to spy, but to find people who were lost. There was meaning in that. Tyler still brought me coffee, still told bad jokes, but he was the first to say, let's build something honest. Later that evening, after the team left and the sun dipped below the skyline, I pulled out a photo, not of my wedding, of the drone, caught in midair, wings glinting in the light. Below it, I had printed one line. Some rebuild to forget, others rebuild to remember who they are. And then I shut the lights off, locked the door, and walked into the soft spring night. No one was waiting for me, and for the first time in a long time, that didn't feel like a loss. It felt like freedom. Thank you for visiting my YouTube channel. Your support, likes, and comments truly inspire me to create even more engaging content. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. You're a part of this amazing community, and I'm thrilled to share my stories with you. See you in the next video on YouTube.